Studio 7 has modified itself some. Had all those windstorms that blew down a bunch of trees and things, so difficult to get into. Alright, today we're going to do an environmental update on a beautiful, warm, gorgeous, typical California summer's day. Just amazing weather. Nice weather year-round. So let's go over to the indoor studio and find out what the heck is going on with the oceans. It's pretty sickening. What I wanted to really talk about today was our oceans and how our planet is mostly ocean. The environmental movement should be paying really close attention to what's happening in the oceans. As I've said many times, I believe the oceans are alive through many forms of life being in a single body of water, and because that water is used inside these life forms, it's sort of part of the life form of the earth. So the oceans are alive, but yet we're throwing so much trash in the oceans. Well, let's go over to the board and I'll show you just a couple of examples of how our world is killing ourselves with the waste plastic that's being dumped into the oceans, rivers, and lakes around the world. So one of the places that we're having trouble was noticed not too long ago when this scientist, Dr. Kirby, and a videographer and a couple other people videoed one of the organisms called plankton, which is at the beginning of our food chain. We don't want our food chain being polluted with plastic, but yet here it is happening. This is what they saw. They took a sample from the ocean and it was full of microplastic, which then they watched as one of the plankton, this particular species here, ate a piece of plastic which went down into the gut, which is the entire length of the plankton, and got stuck right here. And this plankton could no longer eat and of course died. That is bad news. The UN estimates that 150 million tons of plastic go into the seas each year, and the UN has also estimated that 46,000 pieces of plastic are in the ocean per square mile of seas. So every square mile of ocean, there's 46,000 pieces of plastic floating and getting into many animals and different things like plankton, the beginning of the food chain. There happens to be 100 different species of plankton, but this is the canary in the coal mine right there. If you kill off your plankton, you're going to kill off all life on planet Earth, it looks like. So there's other problems in our oceans, such as the Navy, the U.S. Navy, in fact all military navies. How about cruise ships? Those are terrible too. Cruise ships happen to sometimes do the same thing that the Navy vessels do. They'll dump untreated sewage and garbage overboard during the night when no one's looking, and all this garbage adds up and ends up on your beaches. But let's go over to the board and I'll show you how the U.S. Navy deals with plastic and metal waste. So a typical Navy ship has a duty which is called garbage detail, and what it curtails is that somebody will have to go down the garbage room and separate all the garbage, the biological, the food waste, the papers, that type of thing, and also the plastic and metal waste in another waste stream. The biological waste stream goes out into a grinder and is ground up and then poured directly into the ocean. The plastic and metal is melted down into discs and then brought into port, and the plastic is all burned and the metal and that type of stuff is recycled. That's not including all the different countries that directly pour plastic into their rivers and lakes, and then that ends up in the oceans untreated and breaks down after a while from the sunlight, breaking it down into smaller and smaller pieces. These are called microplastic, and these plastic pieces are getting into the food chain. You've known about how birds and seagulls and that sort of thing end up with plastic in their stomachs, which then blocks their digestive systems. But other creatures such as whales, dolphins, and porpoises are also becoming poisoned with plastic particles. Now, a lot of the fish that people eat out of the ocean are now ending up with plastic inside of them, which then you eat and you put all this plastic inside of you, which is not good. Plastic leaches all kinds of chemicals into you, especially when it has direct contact with digestive juices and that sort of thing. So you don't want this plastic in the food chain whatsoever. But guess what? It is. All right, let's go talk about what the Orange Man's budget looks like this year. And it looks like the biggest losers are the EPA and the things like watching after our clean water, our clean food, regulations on healthcare and medical stuff, all going down the drain. Cuts to the EPA will be slashed by 31%. When we need the EPA the most, and he slashes it by 31%. There will be 3,250 layoffs in the EPA. So much for his jobs program. So, oops, phone call. Always some phony credit card account person. Don't they ever give up? Don't even have a credit card. So where will the Orange Man cut the EPA? Well, how about $330 million to Superfund sites? Yeah, you know, like the ones that have nuclear radiation in Hanford up there in Washington. I guess you don't need to clean up all that radiation. It's headed right into the drinking water, and that's why they need a Superfund cleanup there until it's done. He's going to cut $120 million from EPA enforcement, $233 million on EPA research, $300 million will be cut on the Great Lakes Restoration Project. How many people are drinking the water from there? And he's going to cut $73 million from the Chesapeake Bay Restoration. They're trying to get some fisheries back so that they can make some money and bring back the economy some up there. But no more, $73 million. That might as well just cancel the whole project. And of course, $73 million to the Energy Efficiency Department, which will then be cut by 100% after that. We don't want energy efficiency, Orange Man? He will also cut all education programs that the EPA is now putting out. 100% cut. He will cut 5.6% of the energy efficiency requirements to automobiles. They can pollute more that way. And of course, zeroing out NOAA. See, the problem is that he's hurting his own followers as much as everybody else. Everybody needs clean drinking water, clean air, and a clean environment. So many of the humans are so picky about how clean their house is, their bathroom, and their car, but yet they couldn't care less about what happens in the environment. I bet the Orange Man keeps his palaces sparkling clean. You notice, once again, the hypocrisy of all this, and of course, the outright insanity of this. And I definitely appreciate all your guys' discussions and comments, pro or against what I say, or anything else. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. That's what this channel's for. Help everybody understand what's going on. Yeah. So, until next time.